Hey everyone, welcome back to Pop Workshop. Today's video is about building a small drawer, and I'm making this on the CNC machine. Now this is going to be holding the cutting boards, cookie sheets, muffin pans, those types of things in this set of cabinets. And it's going to be fun to be able to do on the CNC machine and then put it into this cabinet. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned for exactly how to do it from start to finish. So far, I have documented building this cabinet and installing it. And on this side, I have replaced the shelves with the pull-out drawers. Now I'm turning my attention to this little door. This small door opens up to just some serving trays, the muffin trays, and it's really hard to find and get to anything. So it's time to make a change. I'm going to be adding a pull-out drawer for this. And it has some interesting things to note. On the left side, it's completely open. What you're looking at there is actually the drawer, and the drawer slide from the cabinet to the left, but it's completely open. And of course, on the right side, yes, it does have a wall there that I can work with to be able to add the drawer slides. Now this cabinet is 7 7/16 inches wide, so it's very narrow. Considering the drawer slides, the actual drawer I build will be 1 inch less. Here's a look at the design that I came up with. It is a tall drawer with the open sides, but this will allow all of the serving trays, muffin pans, and such to be able to be stacked in here vertically with easy access. The drawer itself will be a full extension and easy to be able to get to. Now I designed this in the VCarve Pro and cut it out on the CNC machine. With this type of box joint construction, it makes it where there's really no need for nails, just a little bit of glue. And the result is it's super strong. Here's a quick look at the individual pieces that I designed in the VCarve Pro. This has all the components on one sheet so I can cut it out at one time. Now I've also included the dog bones. That way the tabs will fit into these slots. There are multiple ways to design this. I'm only going to show you 2 different methods today, and they do not include the box creator gadget. I know a lot of you like to be able to work in the millimeters. So what I'm going to do today is take this project and slide it out of the way. We're going to just set it right over here, and I'm going to grab one piece. And I'm going to show you exactly how I made it. And I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to show you the size of this. Right now, this overall length is 560 millimeters by 100 millimeters. The only size that really matters is the length of 560. That's the most important measurement. You can actually make this height really anything that you want. I chose to do it at the 100 millimeters. The important thing is to be able to set up these tabs. So what I'm going to do is set up a rectangle minus the tabs, and then I'll come back and add the tabs in. The tabs that I want to create are actually going to be 12 millimeters. The reason is 12 millimeters is because that's the thickness of the plywood. I want to be able to have, let me zoom in here. So this is going to be 12 millimeters, and it's going to be 12 millimeters up from the bottom. So there's 2 ways I can do that. I can actually use this bottom left-hand corner, or I could actually set it up to design this using the center. I'm going to show you both ways. We're going to use the bottom left-hand corner to begin with. The first step is I want to be able to create a rectangle minus the tabs. So that means instead of 560 millimeters, I need this to be 536. So I'm going to come up to this icon, click on the rectangle, and I'm going to set this up right here at 536, and the height will leave at the 100 millimeters. And we'll hit create. And we'll close that. Now I could have set up the coordinates, but I didn't do that. So we're going to bring that right over here. So how am I going to set the tabs in here now? Well, real simple. Let's create another rectangle. Let's just draw it right here for the moment. And what size should this be? Well, it's going to be on the x-axis 12 millimeters, and on the y-axis it needs to be the 100 millimeters less the 12 on each side, so that's going to be 76 millimeters. And we'll hit apply. So now we have the correct size. So we can zoom in, close this, and now this needs to attach exactly on this edge. And there's a couple of ways to do this. One way is to be able to use the coordinates with this bottom left-hand corner. So let me show you how we're going to do that. We're going to take this and we're going to set the actual position of it. And I want to be able to have this identified at the bottom left-hand corner. And I want the X position to be at 12. And the Y position is going to be at 0. And then we'll hit apply. So that's going to drop it right down to that point. Then we'll take this one, and instead of just letting it snap into position, we're going to actually use the coordinates to do the same thing. Now we're going to go to this icon right here, and we're going to be able to move it. In this case, I'm going to use this bottom left-hand corner again. We can do that. And in this case, I'm going to set the X position at 0, and on the Y position, I'll set this at 12. Hit apply and close. And now we can zoom in and you can see exactly where that is going to be. We'll come over here to the cut tool now, and we'll come over and clip this out. And that takes care of it. Click on this and you can see it's all joined together. Next thing I'll do while I'm here is we'll put the dog bones in. There's a dog bone and there's a dog bones. So that's how easy it is to be able to get this set up. And of course we would do exactly the same thing on the other end. If I want to use the center to be able to set this up and have it snap to it, let's go back over and I'm going to delete this one. And we'll come back over to this icon and we'll change this from the bottom left-hand corner to the center, and then we'll hit close. And I'm not recalculating anything at this point. And then the same thing. The first thing I'm going to do is come in and draw the rectangle. And we'll set the location for the center, and we'll set the XY 0 as 0 and 0. The size on the x-axis is going to be the 536 millimeters, and on the y-axis it'll be 100. And we'll hit create, and there you see it. We'll close that out now, and we're going to need one more rectangle. The rectangle needs to be on the x-axis 12, and on the y-axis is going to be the same thing as what we had before, 76. And I'll hit create, and there it is in the center. So we'll close that out. And now I can take this and just slide it over and have it snapped to the edge. Then I'll take the cut tool and just clip away that section, and that tab now is added to the main component. We'll close this out now, and I'll come over to this icon and select this one to be able to put in the dog bones. Now the 1/4 inch end mill is what I'm using, so half of that is 3.175 millimeters. So with that selected, I'm just going to add these dog bones. Now to make a copy of this, we're going to highlight it, we'll hit Control C and Control V. And we'll just slide it out of the way, we have our second copy. So that would take care of the top two pieces. To make this piece, we're going to do the exact same thing. These tabs need to be 12 millimeters off of the ends, and this tab can be right in the center. Once you learn how to be able to take the tab and add it to that rectangle and make that component, The rest becomes easy. It's very repetitious from there. You repeat the same process over and over to be able to create each of the pieces that you need. Once you have all the pieces created, then we're going to move over to the tool paths and set that up. Now this is going to be real easy. It's actually only one tool path that you need to be able to cut out this whole entire project. Now that we have all of the components created and we have it laid out the way that we want on our project board, it's time to create the tool paths. Come up to this little icon right here. We'll click on it and we'll over at the toolpath menu. Now what I want to do is highlight all of these different components because everything can get cut out at one time. We're going to start out at the top, and the start depth is going to be at 0. We're cutting down the 12 millimeter. From there we're using a 1/4 inch end mill. So let's switch that over. We can come up here to the 1/4 inch. We can select that and we'll be able to close it. And as far as the passes, I don't need to do this in 7 passes. We'll edit the passes. We'll bring this down to 3. If you wanted to, we could probably do this in 2, but it really depends on your machine. So set this up according to with the parameters that you need to do for your machine. Now I want to be able to cut this on the outside. So I'll click this, that way it'll cut on the outside. If you want to set up the tabs, we can set up the tabs, and that's what I did on my project, and you can see the placement of the tabs. I've arranged the tabs so that these will be close together and have something to be able to hold on to. Now if you want to edit the tabs, you can click on the edit, and then you can take and you can see where you can just grab and move this over by holding down the left mouse button. You can position it anywhere that you want. And then we'll close this. We'll continue on down. Really don't need to do the ramps on this material. Once we're all done, we can change the name to whatever name that you want and hit calculate. Now I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that here, so I'm just going to close that. Once you have the tool path saved and you have this identified right here, then we're going to come up to this icon and save it. So let's highlight this tool path to be able to save. We'll come up here and now you can see it. We're doing the visible tool paths to one file, and this is the name of that tool path. And again, we're using that 1/4 inch end mill, and then we can save the tool path. I save it over to my thumb drive, and then I'll take that out to the shop and be able to cut this out all in one time. The material that I'm using is a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. To be able to cut out all of these drawer parts at one time, I need a piece of the plywood that is actually 23 by 45. Now I'm going to cut it a little bit oversized. I'm going to cut this at 48 inches by 25 inches. Now the good thing, the width is already set at 25. This was an extra piece that I had left over from another project. So the only thing I'm doing here is cutting this at 48 inches. That will give me a little bit of extra room to be able to allow the use of the clamps and still not interfere with cutting out this project on the CNC machine. Now this is actually 25 inches on the y-axis and 48 inches on the x-axis, and that will be just a little bit larger than what I actually need. But it's nice to be able to cut out this whole entire drawer in one cutting rather than having to split it up between the smaller machines. I added the clamps now to be able to hold this 1/2 inch plywood down. I'm also using a 1 inch piece of foam. Now this foam is actually oversized. It was a piece of leftover from another project that I just set onto the CNC machine to be able to protect the wasteboard, because I am cutting all the way through the material, and yes, it will cut into the foam some. After I home the machine, I'm going to bring it right over here to this point. Now this is actually 1300 millimeters on the y-axis and on the x-axis to this location. From there, I'm actually going to move the work position up to this little dot, and that is actually about an inch, inch and a half from the edge, and that way I will not interfere with the clamps. And if I do this correctly, the clamps are going to be fine. I will have plenty of space around this piece of plywood to be able to still cut out the work and not interfere with these clamps at all. Now I'm not using the glue and tape method at all to hold any of this down. Strictly the clamps are holding both the plywood and the foam. Now I've turned on the open build software, and that's what I'm using to be able to control this machine. And when you first turn it on, you're going to get this alarm, and that's normal. So we just need to be able to unlock this, and then I'm going to go over and home the machine. So this icon right there says Home All. That's what we're going to click on. Now this machine homes to the far back right hand corner. I actually like having the machine home to this back right hand corner because it gives almost total free access to the entire wasteboard, and that is really a huge advantage. Now at this point, I'm going to bring the machine all the way to this bottom left hand corner, and again that is 1300 millimeters travel on the X and on the Y axis to this bottom corner, and then I will set up the actual work position. I'm going to set the Z axis by setting up the probe basically in the center of the workpiece. Now I know that this is not completely flat because when you're using that half-inch foam, it is not going to be completely flat, but that's okay for this type of project because I'm going to be cutting all the way through the material. So for the open build software, I'm going to come up right here to this icon and click on probe. I know the probe thickness is correct, so then we confirm the location, so now I can just hit the probe button. So the probe is now finished this work and the Z-axis is set. Okay, it stopped right here, and now I'm moving it back over to this location. And that is close enough on the X-axis. The Y-axis looks good. So this is going to be my work home position, and that will stay clear of all my clamps. Also setting up the dust collection. So I'm going to have that slipped on right there. That'll be ready. I'll slip this on. So that's ready to go. So I'm going to set the X and the Y to the 0 position. So that will establish that point. We have everything set up now except the G code. So I'll come up here, click on this, open the G code file, and that is in my thumb drive, which is right here, and this is the one. So now you can see exactly what it's going to be cutting. So at this point, we're ready to be able to carve. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the vacuum, so we have that going, and then I'm going to come up here and just click on Run Job. Upon hitting Run Job, the machine starts, and it's going to cut out this G code that I had sent to the machine. This open build software does an amazing job. I know a number of you have asked to see and take a look at how this is working. Well, this is where you can see exactly how it functions. Having this large CNC machine that allows me to cut out this whole entire drawer at one time is absolutely fantastic. This Shimizu 4x4 is a remarkable machine, very strong, and it does an outstanding job. I know 100% that the clamps on each side are going to be just fine. This is the real test. Is this clamp actually positioned in the right location so that it misses that bit, or I should say the bit misses the clamp? Well, as it turned out, yes, I did locate it correctly. The clamp is safe, the bit is safe. If you look close, this is not a clean cut. This bit is actually a very, very dull bit. This bit was one of the ones that I was supposed to throw away and did not. But when this project is done, this bit will go into the trash can. Well, the project is finishing up now, and this is definitely a time saver. This whole entire cabinet drawer was cut out at one time on this machine. What a time saver. All I need to do at this point is to remove the clamps, and then everything will slide right off the table. Remember, I did not use the glue and tape method to hold down this project. Unfortunately, this will require some additional sanding that I had not planned on, but that's one of the things that will happen, especially if you forget to throw away that old bit. But again, this foam just slides off the table, and with that dust collection, there's virtually no dust, no cleanup to do. The only good thing about this is all these little fuzzies, they come off very easily, and it does not take a lot of sanding. But had I used a brand new bit, or at least a sharp bit, this cleanup would virtually be non-existent. But again, small price to pay. This took about an extra 20 minutes to be able to get all of these different parts cleaned up and ready to be assembled. This type of box joint makes it where it's very easy to be able to assemble. All you really need to do is add the glue and then drop the pieces in, and it locks everything together and it creates a very strong structure. And just as a reminder, this whole project was designed in VCarve Pro, and I did not use the Box Creator app. I actually think it took longer to put glue on all of the different surfaces than it did to actually snap this together and assemble this drawer. But you can see just how easy that everything snaps together, and it holds perfectly in place, and it's exactly square as well. No guesswork. These top two pieces go in just as easy as the bottom ones did. Just add the glue and drop it in place. How easy is that? If you're not using this type of method to be able to build your boxes, well, I think it's a good idea to start considering it, because I absolutely love this method. What I like most about this method is that all these parts actually lock together, and it creates a perfectly square box to be able to make this drawer. There's no guesswork. There's no having to get out a square to see if it's square. There's no nailing that's required. Everything just snaps together, and you know that when it goes together, it is perfectly square and exactly as it should be. All you need to do is let the glue dry, and you're ready to move to the next step. Here's a look at the finished drawer. This is going to be perfect to handle all of those different trays, the muffin trays, and all of those different cutting boards will go right into this small little drawer, and it's going to be able to have easy access by being able to pull out as a full extension to be able to see exactly what's in here. I know that this drawer is going to get a lot of use, and it's going to be subject to a lot of abuse, being able to be pulled in and out. And with these box joints, I know that it's going to hold up and be strong for years to come. I'm taking a piece of 1/4" material to be able to act as a support for the back of these drawer slides. Now I need to set this up where I'm coming from the right hand side from that outer edge 1 9/16. That's the distance that I have from the wall of the cabinet over to the edge of the face frame. From there, I'm measuring over the opening of the cabinet, which is 7 7/16. So once that is marked, that's going to be the location that I put in the drawer slides on, and that will keep these drawer slides perfectly parallel to each other. I'm using 3/4" material to be able to mount these drawer slides on. Now these drawer slides need to be the 23 inches minus the 1/4" material. And the reason being, the depth of these cabinets are 23 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 22 3/4, and that will give me the depth from the back of the face frame to that back edge of the cabinet itself. So once it's marked, I'll take it over to the miter saw and cut it. The one thing that I have learned working on these cabinets is that every single cabinet and every single door is different. I cannot assume that the depth of this cabinet is going to be the same as the next cabinet or the previous cabinet that I just did. This is just crazy. I need to mark the center line of this So I'm just going to measure over to this edge to here, which is 3, and I know that's going to be halfway. And then I'll do the same thing down here. I'll measure from this edge, swing that around to the 3 inches, and I know 1.5 inches will be half of that. So we'll put it there. I'll take the straight edge, line it up with that dot, line it up with the back dot, and draw the line. And that establishes the center line. Now these door slides will go on, and I need these door slides to be able to extend 3/4 of an inch forward. And for right now, I'm going to take these out. And to take these out, you just slip that down and it just slides right out. So this needs to extend forward to 3/4 of an inch. Now bring that right down to the center line. That's exactly where it needs to be. I have that right on that hole, so I can put the first screw in. And we'll put the next one right there. You can see the center line. And we'll put one right up here at the edge. And that will take care of it. Now it's time to put the drawer slide on this area. And based on this measurement from the bottom of the cabinet up to this point, I know that my drawer slide needs to be right there centered. And from this edge, that's actually 3/4 of an inch. So I'll mark 3/4 of an inch down here. Take my ruler. And that will establish that line. Now, I'm going to go ahead and measure both sides and have that step out of the way. So this will be the 3/4 of an inch. This will be 3/4. Now we'll take this. I'll flip that over, and that will go right there. You can see the center lines lining up right in the hole. So I'll mark this one, and this needs to be with the front edge. Do the same thing at the back. And of course, one in the middle. And we'll flip this over. Now I'm going to set this on this edge so that it will actually sit flat. And we'll take this drawer slide, slip it out. Remember, this is the front now, so we flipped it over. And we'll mark the first screw hole. Slide this over to number 2. And number 3. And you see, this one's always perfect aligned if you did the first 2 correctly. Now I changed this a little bit. I don't care about the center line because the inside of this cabinet actually goes over and butts to the wall of the cabinet right here. This is 1 9/16. So this drawer roller will actually sit right here at that point. And then now I have a spacer that will give me the proper alignment at the back to be able to keep the drawer slides parallel. So this center line doesn't matter. What matters is this line to this line is 7 7/16, which is the opening of the cabinet. And on this side, this drawer roller will attach right here. And I'm not worried about this distance extra because this one does not have a wall. So the only registration point that I have is along this point. A quick test to see how this operates, and it works very smoothly. This is exactly what I wanted. So now it's time to take it over and install this into the cabinets. The drawer slides went in perfectly. We verified that it was all level and then nailed it in place. We did a quick test just to see how the drawer operated, and that is absolutely fantastic. This is exactly what we wanted. This was a very easy installation. The drawer slides in and out very easily. Can't get any better than that. We took the level and put it on just to verify that it was level, and that looked great. So that can't get any better. Doing the drawer slides in the manner that we did works out extremely well. It makes for a perfectly installed drawer. So this method is extremely easy and it works extremely well. And this drawer now pulls in and out very easily, and that's what you want. The next step now, we just need to add the drawer front itself. Now this is a little bit different than a normal way to do it. I set up the True Position tool where the handle itself is set up with those holes. That spacing is perfect, and I'm setting this up where it's 1 inch from the top. From there, I just put this in the center. I have everything adjusted, and now it's time to drill the holes. So I'm taking the drill bit that comes with this set, and we'll drill the holes exactly where it needs to be. Now I want these at the very top. It's actually 1 inch down from the top edge, and that's center of this style. It's much easier to install the handle now than wait until this drawer front is on the drawer itself. To put the drawer front on, I used a little bit different technique. I'm using double stick tape at the top and the bottom to be able to hold that drawer front on until we can actually screw it in place. Normally, I'd be able to use the handle to hold it in place while we screwed it in permanently. But in this case, that's not possible because the handle is above the height of the actual drawer. To mount this exactly where we want it, just use a straight edge across the 2 sets of drawers already in place and align that perfectly along that same line and center it in the opening. And then just push it against that double stick tape so that it will stay in place. And then I can open up this drawer and then we can screw it in. You have to be careful when you open the door because you run the risk of having that double stick tape come loose. but once the door is open, just take the drill and tighten the screws. The screws were already in place. Well, this drawer is finished now, and it looks great. It blends in perfectly with the other drawers that are on the left and the right. Well, the project's all finished. That drawer is now in place, and the family is loving it. They can pull that drawer out and have complete access to those cookie sheets and those muffin pans. This was a fun project to be able to do, and I hope that you was able to learn something. Now, with this project, I started at the very beginning and showed you how to design it, and it took it all the way to the very end for the installation. So if you learned something from this video, I hope that you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe right down there below. Also, take a look at some of these other videos that I have up here, because in these videos, I show you also how to use these tabs and slots to build and make the cabinets, plus a whole lot of other things. Remember, I've got over 800 different videos to be able to teach you all types of different things around the house, in the shop, using the CNC machines, and so much more. So for now, I'm going to say bye-bye, and I'll see you real soon in the next video.